And good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to FSU Coach Live. My name is Tim Baghurst, and today's guest is Courtney Ward. She is the head coach of men's basketball at Park Crossing High School and is also a deputy at Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. Courtney, thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind, just share a little bit about your path to becoming a coach.
All right. I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama. Of course, played basketball at FSU for 4 years. Graduated 2011. Went over to play overseas for a year in Italy. Actually came back home, and I had a friend of mine that I knew that had been trying to get me to coach girls basketball for a long time, and I was like, nah, 'cause the talent and just everything was just so different. The way how they practice and how they just go hard for everything. It just wasn't anything that I was used to. And I just honestly didn't want to put my time and effort into something that I love and have so much passion about to people who didn't have that same passion about it as me. So I bagged out of it a couple of times, and his name's Brian Williams. Actually, he coaches at Pinson Valley, played at University of Alabama. But he stayed on me, kept asking, and I was like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna do it. And I started coaching girls basketball at Sidney Lanier High School in Montgomery, Alabama, my first year, 5 years ago.
Now you switched and you're now coaching boys, which is pretty unusual. And so it creates some opportunities for discussion because you've coached both girls and boys now.
Right.
In your experience, what are the differences? What are the things you've had to change in the way you coach or what you see?
Well, we actually only been practicing for a couple of months now, especially, due to COVID
Right.
and, the time we can have, in the gym face to face and all of those certain things. And I only, experienced preseason with them. But still, while doing that, I still, can see a major difference. Just their work ethic. I think I can explain stuff more to them and they can get it right then and there and do it how I want it, when I want it, compared to having to do just everything repetitively with girls and them just understanding. Boys are more physical. They like to compete. They like to go at each other. And that's just how I was raised in playing high school, college, and, going and playing professionally.
Looking at coaching a boys team, as I mentioned, is unusual. And I suspect there's the possibility that maybe high school boys, what? I'm being coached by a woman? Are you kidding me? No, that can't be real. How do you gain their respect? How do you earn that kind of, we're going to listen to coach because coach knows what she's talking about?
Honestly, I have one of the best assistant coaches, I think, in ever. He's been with me since day one at Sidney Lanier, coaching with girls, and now is with me with the boys. And we're honest. We're true to what they like as kids. And just being from here, a couple of people, well, a lot of people know, my background, where I came from, and just being myself around kids. I'm a school resource officer as a deputy, so I'm with kids all the time, and I know how to relate. And I think that's one of my biggest advantages of how I succeed in being a coach, period. A lot of kids have older coaches that they just can't relate to. We come into practice, I play music, I just play around with them, but at the same time, it's a serious point where I break it down where, okay, we need to do this, that, and the third. So it's just me giving as much respect to them as I want, for myself. And we just click from day one.
You were an athlete in college, then you went and played in Italy. I'm curious, I'm just backtracking a little bit. What was that experience like going from, FSU, Florida, Alabama? Oh, by the way, now you're moving to Italy in Europe. What was that experience like for you?
It was crazy. I, of course, watched the draft, didn't get drafted. And I actually went to training camp for Seattle Storm for a little bit. And then when I left there, I went to Italy. I think I caught a flight in like 2-3 different places. Couldn't read the signs on where to catch the flight. It was awful. when I first got there, I didn't have any internet service to call back home to let anybody know I was there. But once I got there, I mean, it was fun. I had a lot of Americans on my team, so that made it made it way better than what it was with having, you know, those 6 different American players with me. But definitely was, you know, a challenge and something new. I enjoyed it every bit. I actually had my son when I came back home in the off season, and that's what stopped me from going back.
Okay.
But I mean, it was great. It was awesome.
And then you transfer from being an athlete into a coach. How easy or difficult was that for you, going from I'm not the one on the court anymore, I'm not the one in control of this shot, I have to rely on other people to do it, that I've trained? Difficult, easy, challenging?
It was definitely difficult. Our first year at Lanier, I mean, I won't lie to you, it was awful. I think we got a group of girls that only won 3 games in 5 years. And you know, it's hard. Like I said before, it's hard coming from winning state championship in high school to going to one of the top conferences in basketball, ACC, and you know, just being competitive and just still being able to do what I do, to go on to play pro to a group of girls that don't really know anything about basketball. So I mean, we went day in, day out, giving them all we could. And it was, I mean, y'all, I promise you, it was as simple as giving them and buying them Gatorade. And that made them do absolutely everything that we wanted them to do. They believed in us. Nobody ever gave them Gatorade. And that built trust in players and the coaches. And we started from there. We went from, I think our goal was to only win 10 games. And I think we did that plus a little bit more, and went on to win an area, to making it to the regionals and everything. So, I mean, it's just, you know, my personality and, you know, how much I care about the game and have that passion that just have everybody jump on board.
And just a reminder, we're talking with Courtney Ward. If you have a question for her, just put it in your chat box and we'll get it to her. Now, one of those challenges that many coaches have is they take over an unsuccessful program, right?
Right.
And you gave an idea of what you did to help turn that around. But I suspect that the girls that you were coaching weren't just super talented athletes who just hadn't been discovered or tapped into. You know, this isn't a movie. This is real coaching. What things did you do to get those athletes to become better at what they were doing, to really work with them to make them more successful as a team?
I ran them to death in all caps. I mean, not for real. Honestly, we worked extremely hard. You can go to any one of those girls and ask them what was the most things that we did, and we worked hard. We ran miles and miles and miles in the neighborhoods. We just wanted to be a running team, because no matter what, we can win games off layups. If we play good defense and can get the other team to turn over the ball, we can always go and score layups and, you know, get points on the board and stop other opponents. But that was that's the most thing we stressed out, is just being conditioned. And being conditioned turned into fundamentally knowing everything else, to everybody to play their role. We didn't have any superstars or 1 or 2 talented girls. We just had a group of girls that played their role defensively and offensively. And that's just, it led from there.
When you look at coaching in high school, one of the things that most coaches will talk about are the parents, right? Parents or boosters. What's your experience? I see a little smile. What's your experience working with parents and boosters?
When I was at, we're working with girls at Lanier. And I mean, it's something honestly that I love. I think I just talk about them to this day, because those girls, they actually fought for something. They came in every day because they wanted to be better than what they grew up in. I mean, it was some parent support with them, but it was a lot where, you know, we had to take them to bring them to practice, take them home, which, you know, we didn't mind. It's not that the parents didn't want to. It's just something that, you know, that they were wasn't used to doing. So we stepped it up as their coaches to be, that second parent towards them, to make sure that they can have something other than, basketball and just coming to school. So it's a difference with me being at Lanier. I think those parents respected me as much what I was giving to those girls, that it was, I see her doing this, so I appreciate it. And then, just I actually, when I left Lanier, I went to Pike Road. It's a new high school in the surrounding area of Montgomery. In my first year there as a girls coach, we actually didn't have a senior basketball team or a senior class period. And just coming from Lanier to Pike Road is a total background change. Those kids are way more privileged than those kids at Lanier. So I didn't have to go over and beyond for them like I did at Lanier. And just being honest, how we grew up, they were more silver spoon. So you got to just fight with me being so passionate about the game, knowing what I can do for that person, and the third. You got to fight more for my kid deserve to play this spot, start in this spot, and go through all of that. So, of course, every coach go through it. If they tell you they don't, it's a lie. And I just totally believe in I'm going to do what I need to do to win for my team. I'm not here to brag on myself, but I've been, pretty successful in what I've been doing, and it's been working. So I just don't believe in anybody coming in to just force me to do something out of my comfort zone and what I know that's working. And that's, we come together as coaches to help each other out with that. Me and my assistant coach, like I told you before, we've been together for 5 years. So he can tell me something that I've done wrong, and we definitely gonna disagree to agree. But at the end of the day, we're gonna come up with a solution at the end to say, okay, well, we need to do this. And I'm the head coach, but I give him that spotlight to tell me when I'm wrong all the time, and to, give me what he think we should do with those certain situations with kids, and, how good they think they are compared to what we see and what they can do.
We have a question for you. It's from Jeffrey Drake, and says, how is it working with Coach Drake and Coach Williams, knowing they are younger guys who recently just graduated college, or in Coach Williams' still in college?
Me and my assistant that's been with me for 5 years, we love to give people opportunities. It's different. Of course, we're used to working with a girls varsity and a girls JV, to now we have a boys varsity, boys JV in the 9th grade. So it's way, way, way more kids to keep up with. And, we had to go out and look for new coaches to help us out. And we wanted to have coaches that, like I said before, that we know that can interact with high school kids, that don't, come in just wanting just to go do anything but basketball. We want you to coach basketball, but at the same time, we want you to live life and give them livelihood experiences outside of the court. And these two guys that we picked up are college graduates from Alabama State, actually. So they're very, they're young, almost close to, their age, and can relate, as well as coaches that I know that'll go out and get it. And, they are willing to learn from, what we have to teach them, and showing them what we do on the varsity end.
You talked a little bit before the show started about the fact that, you're working, you're coaching, you're a mom. How do you juggle it all? Stay sane and get it all done like you need to?
I have a great, huge support system with my family. I literally go to work during the day, go pick up the kids, or then go to practice, and then go home. Like I told you before, I got a 7-year-old boy that plays everything that you can name: baseball, football, everything. So his dad does a tremendous job at helping me with, not having to worry about him, because he can take him to football practice or whatever he need to go. And, with both of their grandparents, just babysitting them before, while I'm at practice. I never have a problem with that. So just having a tremendous support system, I mean, it takes me a long way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's big. And looking at your role as a coach in high school, what are some of the challenges that maybe people don't realize or understand that you as a coach face? And I'm asking this in terms of, maybe there's people out there who say, well, I want to be like Coach Ward. I want to go coach high school basketball and be successful. Can you share a little of the realities of what you have to do? Because I think some people just assume that all you're doing is out there on the court telling players what to do and, oh, look, we won again. And we all know that's not the case. At least you and I know that's not the case.
Right. Well, first it started with relationships. I have a wonderful principal at Park Crossing now, Miss Cheryl Fountain, and if I honestly think if we are all on the same terms and just able to conversate with each other and just be able to communicate, that's, I mean, it takes you a long way. Coaching high school players is, I mean, it's difficult. You got to deal with players, you got to deal with parents, you got to deal with outside people on, juggling on what they think and their opinion. And I mean, that type of stuff can go a long way. But just me and just being myself, surrounding myself, with the best assistant coaches, and being a part of, good school systems, and just, I mean, I just take firm belief in what I believe in, my passion in coaching and playing basketball. I'm the type that I just got out there the other day with them and played. That was my first time playing in years. But that's the type of stuff that they like to see. I'm going to tell them, just like I tell everybody else, they can't beat me. And I'm going to make them believe and know that they can't beat me. It's just the competitiveness in me. But I mean, it's just the love of the game. You can't coach basketball, one, if you don't like to teach and have those type of relationship with kids. Because if you don't have that type of relationship, you will never get them to follow you and trust in you and be loyal to you in no type of way. These boys, they barely know me. And I've got several text messages and calls from parents saying them coming home and how much they like the system and what we're doing, and how they wanted to leave and they didn't leave because of what we brought to this program. But it's still challenging. I'm sure I'm going to face plenty more challenges as the season progress. And it's every year is a learning stage for me. So as long as I have my support system, as long as I give what I say I'm going to give to them yearly, then I mean it can only get better.
Do you have any kind of player contract or even parent contract that you require them to sign so that they know some of the rules that you have in place, and it maybe alleviates some of those I didn't know excuses?
Yeah, we actually just gave all that stuff out in the beginning of preseason, and what they had to sign is basically saying how I punish them with grades. Academics definitely come first. That's just something that we live for. Like I told them now, I think grades go in this week, so I mean, I better not see any else. But if we just so happen to have any else, it's stuff that they suffer consequences for that. I think you run like a mile and a half for an F, a mile for a D, and a half a mile for a C. And it's just things like that. Just their actions in school. Right now they're not in school. They start back next week with the option, and all those different types of things. I teach them and tell them every day, not only do you represent this school, not only do you represent yourself, not only do you represent me, but you represent Montgomery County. And that's a big face. I've been coaching for 6 years, and our Sheriff Derek Cunningham, he has praised me in all ways and allowed me to, have a passion with my bachelor's in criminal justice and working, with him, as well as sharing my passion with coaching basketball. So that's just another strong support system that I have, and they got to live by that. The whole Montgomery, know me or know of me. So I tell them every day, whatever you do outside of this gym, I'm gonna find out. because they're gonna come and tell me. So it's just something that it's a plus for them, and what I can give them is something they can live by, and just further their career in basketball or whatever. After they graduate.
And just to wrap up, think about those who are interested in becoming coaches or maybe getting better. What kind of advice do you have for them based on your experiences as an athlete yourself, and then also as a coach?
One advantage I do have, I've been coaches that I can call on every day. Mainly Coach Sue. It's been several times I've called on her just to ask her questions about this, that, and the third, and what I should do about this and that, as well as high school coaches, and what they think, in different situations. But if it's something that you want to do, just like we give those opportunities of just coming to volunteer, in high school, it's a little different. I don't think you should go in looking to be paid for anything. A lot of people don't know. I don't know if they think this or not, but they always thinking that, okay, I'm going to coach so I can get a stipend. Like that's never my objective of doing this. I do this because it's a passion and something that I love, and I want to see kids do the same thing that I did, but more. So I think you should, if you have that opportunity to go and shadow somebody, go shadow somebody. Go to coaching clinics. Go to different team camps that different colleges allow, so you can just have that experience to be around kids and coach them up. Basketball camps that's in your surrounding areas. But just put yourself in that spotlight where you can learn something, and just get the truth about everything and how it's ran, and what you go through, and just all those different things about being a coach, also being around those high school kids. It's 2020, so it's nothing like what we were when we were growing up. It's different. So we can't go off of what we learned, with basketball back in the day. We got to spice it up, and it's just different. Got to bring a lot more to the table.
Mm-hmm. Well, I said it was my last question, and then of course, what happens? People start asking questions. So I got a couple of questions for you. Joanne Pomodoro says, "How do you handle kids who have had trauma histories or responses that come out in their behaviors? So acting out, or maybe those kinds of things. Is it something that you see and then refer to therapists?"
I definitely never give up on kids like that. If that's a kid that's on my team, and they're going through something, and that need my help, I'm going to help them. It's been times where me and my assistant coach, we had a kid that needed us for something serious at 3:00 in the morning. And what did? We went to that kid at 3:00 in the morning. And I think I can say we saved a life. And that stuff matters. And that's just because of the passion and the care that we have for our kids. So I said I had 2 kids, but actually I got like 25 right now. But that's just the passion I have for kids in general, and my job, this badge that I wear, is 24/7. So if it goes that far where we have to get a therapist for that person, I guarantee that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk to parents. We're gonna do this and that to make sure we do everything we can for that kid to, just be in a place where they need to be.
Another question came through on YouTube and said, "What made you want to coach boys basketball? It's amazing to see this."
I was actually on bed rest with my baby girl. I don't think she wasn't born yet, and it was in the positioning where I was leaving Pike Road, and my assistant coach actually called me and was like, "Hey, you want to coach boys?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Where?" or whatever, and it came up to being Park Crossing, and I was like, why not? I know for a fact that I can do it. It's just a decision on if I wanted to do it, because I was actually agreed with myself that I was going to sit out a year and have my baby and just chill and get everything situated, and then that call came and I just took it, and it's been perfect ever since.
Well, Courtney, I do want to say thank you for joining us. And of course, if people maybe watching in future on YouTube have questions for you, maybe just to follow up, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
You can definitely email me anytime. My email is ward0822@gmail.com. It's always open and free, so just feel free whenever you want.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, sharing a little bit of your experiences, and I hope that those watching take something away from it as well. Just a reminder that coming up, we have more interviews each and every week. So stay tuned. If you haven't yet subscribed to YouTube, be sure to do that because then you'll get notification when we do go live. But on behalf of myself, Tim Baghurst, and of course, Coach Courtney Ward, thank you so much for watching.
No, thank you, and go Dogs.